What is going down, Sourdough Squad? Jason Aponte is joining me for our State of the Franchise episode. Jason, I think we are getting ready to get on here. We're going to talk about some free agents, talk about draft. We're going to talk about how the man, the myth, the legend, Jason Aponte has been credentialed to the Combine. Everyone, first of all, give a great congratulations to the boy Jason Aponte for getting credentialed to the Combine. He will be there next week. How does it feel, my boy?
Feels amazing. I was gonna say the other thing, but that's something that that would have been trolling because you come on here, you wear a Jimmy Garoppolo jersey, and everybody gets mad. But it feels great, man. It does. It does. It's an amazing feeling, and can't wait to get into this draft stuff, man. And we manifested it all. We talked about it like that's what we need to do next, and that's it. And the NFL is great at keeping you interested all year. It does have a straight up news cycle all year. That's something that can't be denied. But unfortunately, the news that we're going to be talking about today is kind of just made up, I think.
Maybe. Well, we're going to find out. But let's, might as well top right into it. We'll get into plenty of talk about here in a second. But the main point of topic came from Adam Schefter today when he joined Ari Miriov, NFL Show's podcast. And Schefter had this to say in regards to the potential of Jimmy Garoppolo being traded. And when they were talking about the likelihood of Garoppolo being traded, Adam Schefter said, hold on one second. He says, quote, I don't think it's a lock that Jimmy Garoppolo gets traded this year. And not only that, he went on to say, essentially, quote, you say likely on Garoppolo trade. I guess that's fair, but I'm just telling you, Trey Lance was probably further behind than people realize. Trey Lance is greener than people realize. Trey Lance is going to need more work than people realize, and they have a roster that can win now. So essentially what's kind of stirred up today, Jason, is because of these comments from Adam Schefter, now there's a little bit of quarterback conversation about, is Jimmy Garoppolo in fact going to be traded? Will he be back this year? What do you think about the noise? First of all, what do you think about what Adam Schefter is saying?
Well, I think you and I talked about it offline. Is everybody always talks about how people incite the fan base by doing certain things? Well, guess what? Your favorite reporter, your favorite insider is no dummy right now in terms of trying to generate clicks. ESPN has had a news cycle almost every single day with another analyst saying the same exact thing that was parroted by Adam Schefter on this podcast. Ryan Clark, Booger McFarland, who else knows? Everybody else is parroting all of these things. And don't discount the fact that they know that when they throw out this nugget of information on whatever podcast, that it will send this fan base into a tizzy, as mostly everything does with this fan base. Literally anything, right? Like, let alone this whole Jimmy Garoppolo thing, right?
Just mention the quarterback, and it gets wild around here.
Dude, it's wild because yesterday it was everybody had their swords out about who's better, Aldon Smith or Nick Bosa. I will say this about 49ers Twitter. The most impressive thing that I have noticed is you will never find a fan base that finds things to argue about on a daily basis more than this fan. It's impressive, man. It's not even a joke. It's very impressive. It's very impressive. Literally, open the timeline. What are you talking about? Nick Bosa does this. And I'm like, is this where we're at now? Like, Aldon Smith's not playing anymore. And that's the fun part about hypotheticals. That's what sports is hypotheticals. But back to this Adam Schefter thing. Look, it's real hard right now for content. It's real hard right now without the combine, without the draft, all of these things that are about to happen. So how do you generate clicks? It's around this subject, which has been such a hot button topic the entire season. So it's, if I seem annoyed, if I seem tired, I am. I'm both. I'm annoyed and I'm tired because this isn't stopping and it's not going anywhere until Jimmy Garoppolo is ultimately traded, which I still believe is going to happen. Sorry, Adam Schefter. I'm going to push back on that one.
Right. And we know how it works because last week it was rumors about Tom Brady potentially being traded for we had to go through that entire situation. Is it a fit? Is it not a fit? Just based on a bunch of guys talking about that being a potential. Now we've seen it even come further to a head as, the days have by. They're still talking about the potential of Tom Brady returning. You have Mike Florio coming out saying, "Oh, week one, I have a feeling I got this email that feel like it's going to be Tom Brady for the San Francisco 49ers starting week one." So there's going to be a lot of news. There's going to be a lot of continued just talking until something actually gets done. But if you were a betting man, would you bet that Jimmy Garoppolo returns to this roster in 2022? Or are you going to go ahead and bet the house that he does get traded and they just essentially rip the Band-Aid off and move on with their young franchise quarterback?
I'm going to take the $13 I have in my account and I'm going to put it all on Jimmy Garoppolo being traded. Okay, guys. Hey, spoiler alert, I am not a wealthy man. Okay, not at all. So, yeah.
Stop
but hey, you got to make money somehow. Smart money is on that. Look, again, we talked about this. Bringing Jimmy Garoppolo back for whatever the amount of money and then not getting anything for him or the third round compensatory pick, it doesn't make sense, especially if someone's going to offer you a second or Andrew, or if somebody's going to offer you a first. Well, now that Andrew's in here real quick, I can plug something. Later on tonight is the second annual Schrappy's Sprint Right Option Pod Awards that we'll be doing. I will be putting on a suit and everything as well, too. So we're going to be giving out some awards as voted on by you guys. Shout out to Andrew Pasquini. Make sure you follow him on Twitter as well, too. Make sure you tapped in on the channel as well, too. That's coming tonight. But yeah, I'm going to bet that Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to be here, man. It just doesn't make sense in terms of it's not good business at this point. Did Brad freeze? Or am I frozen? Brad?
I think
You're coming back in and out. Brad? You're in and out though. I don't know what's up. Well, while Brad is trying to figure out what's going on real quick, I can pick it up a little bit. So for everybody that's here on Brad's channel, on my channel, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. And on my channel, if you guys noticed the video, you can see that there's a join button. You can join the Spicy Squad, which will give you emojis. It will give you precedent when we do call-in shows, things like that. And, you guys can tap in there with me as well, too. Appreciate everybody who's joined so far as well. So, but, yeah, just a little bit more, because Brad's having some difficulties. He just hit me up. He'll be back in a sec. Just a little bit more to this is when people talk about us as content creators and they say, well, you guys are fishing for content. You guys are, it's everybody. I see Brad. There we go. It's everybody. It's even Adam Schefter. It's even the McDonald's Wi-Fi jokes are back. But it's Adam Schefter, it's Ian Rappaport, it's ESPN, it's Fox Sports. All of these guys that you turn to, that you turn a blind eye to us for because we're not media, they do the same exact things. They are dying for clicks. They are dying for content. How do they do that? Stir up this with this fan base because they know that they get so passionate. So
sorry about that, guys. It's 2 days in a row, but we're going to see if we can keep plowing forward. We'll see how long we last before I get booted again by my own Wi-Fi. But hey, we're back. And it sounds like you were just kind of talking about, how the content is being generated at this point. And we need something to talk about, right? I'll say this. If I had to put my money on it, I'm going to go ahead and say Jimmy Garoppolo likely is going to be traded. He doesn't. Clearly, there is a plan in place with how they executed the end of the year and how everything went down, the exit interviews, how they did it, and the kind of news that followed. Would you say that this is actually more of an indication of actually just kind of drumming up potentially more conversations around Jimmy, trying to get him in a, we know how it's leverage season as well. It's rumor season, but it's also leverage season. Trying to get paid. You got agents, you got team representatives working through the media. Could this just be an example of the 49ers and or Jimmy's side trying to get more value in a potential trade?
Can you pass me a tinfoil hat real quick? Because I have a nice little one.
Bring it.
What if it's a certain team that is throwing that out there to say, hey, listen, I thought he was traded for Adam Brady. What if it's a certain team that is out there perpetuating this noise to get people to think that nobody's really interested so they can swoop in for nothing or less than they would have based on that? I'm looking at a certain team that has gone through a bit of a rebranding phase. Doesn't have the best track record in terms of ethical practices within their team, within their front office, within their building. That team's the Washington Commanders. Kind of behooves them a little bit to have this out there because then pick 11 is not on the table anymore. What about this pick? What about this pick? Now it drives everything down. So put the tinfoil hat on real quick. Somebody's putting this out there because they want something out of this. And that doesn't mean that Jimmy's not getting traded. It's everybody wants for whatever price it is. Whether that's Jimmy's people trying to get it to a different level, or could just be what I floated out there. Is Washington trying to like calm everything down, keep everybody in line so they can try to swoop in with a low ball offer?
Get a deal on Jimmy. Do you think Jimmy would want to go to Washington? I was talking about this earlier. I like the actual football operations. I think with Ron Rivera coming in and with what he was able to do with the Panthers, I like him as a head of football ops and being the head coach and kind of getting I like the kind of the assets that they've been assembling. But do you think everything that's going on upstairs, I guess at the executive level, would that kind of steer Garoppolo and his representation away?
I don't think so. I think that when Ron Rivera took over, it was very much like he walked in and looked at everybody like there's going to be no bullshit, no nonsense, nothing. Like we're not running this at all. Like none of this stuff is going to happen. And all of that stuff that was talked about, that I talked about with the front office, was done before Ron Rivera was there. So maybe that kind of nerfs my theory, right? And what they're doing isn't exactly, it's not unethical. That's not what, if they are doing it, it's not unethical. It's just playing the game. But I don't think that would stop him there. I mean, look, win now, guy, because Ron Rivera has to win because we know how volatile they are in terms of keeping coaches. Offense that'll be catered to him. I want to make sure I phrase this the correct way without people getting crazy. Curtis Samuel, Deebo Samuel, kind of the same guy in terms of like lining them up in the backfield. That's exactly what he did in Carolina.
I think Curtis Samuel actually came out recently and said, I want to be in that very similar role to what Deebo Samuel did.
And he was when Christian McCaffrey got hurt in Carolina, he had the most 20-yard runs on that team, lined up in the backfield. Love Curtis Samuel. Absolutely love Curtis Samuel. Gibson, McKissick, McLaurin, Logan Thomas. That team is all lined up as long as they get that defense rolling to be a perfect spot for him where he can just jump in and go ahead and push himself into a spot where he, one, is going to be valued, and two, he has a chance to at least win games because let's put it out there. He's probably the second best quarterback in that division if he joins it, right? Like you can have your arguments about Jalen Hurts, and that's fine. I'm not saying that it's like clear cut, but I don't know. Jimmy Garoppolo, Jalen Hurts. I probably lean Jimmy there. I do at this point. So,
yeah, especially with the experience and the leadership qualities that he brings to the table. Do you think there could be a silent bidding war between Philadelphia and Washington potentially for Jimmy Garoppolo's services? And maybe they know that and they're trying to work some things through Adam Schefter to get that cost down or just get something. I don't know. It's going to be interesting because I think it's pretty crystal clear. Franchise quarterbacks don't grow on trees, let alone starting quarterbacks. I think you've talked about this point before. There's not really 32 high-level starting caliber quarterbacks, which then changes the entire value conversation. It changes the way these quarterbacks are viewed internally inside these organizations. And if you can get a guy who wins, I think we as people who analyze and break apart and rip apart, I hear NFL players talk about this all the time. They always talk about how fans don't appreciate ugly wins because when you're in the building and you're on the team, you just want to win. And it's almost like by any means necessary. And I think us as fans, we see all the other quarterbacks and we get enamored with like the big plays that sometimes the ugly wins aren't as meaningful to us, maybe are more meaningful to other teams. So there is a world that exists where Jimmy Garoppolo does carry some value more so than the fan base would think. But it's gonna be something that we find out, right? Like, where is he gonna land? Where is he gonna go? What's it gonna cost to get him? Is it gonna be a situation where they land flat on their face and Jimmy returns back to the team in 2022? A lot of
And
stuff going on.
the thing is the market's not going to reveal itself until certain guys either stay or go, right?
Right.
Let's say the Packers tag Devontae Adams. That means Rodgers is coming back. Russell Wilson gets traded to Philly. They're off the board then. And now Washington's under pressure because now Philly's gotten better. They have a quarterback. Now what are you going to do? Because you're already running behind Dallas. You can't let Philly jump you. Pittsburgh, what do they do? Like, so a lot of the things that will happen in terms of what the market will be is such a fluid thing, and it will continue to be fluid until we find out the landing spots of these other quarterbacks.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And there's going to be, because we have to figure out, right, what's Russ doing? What's Aaron doing? Is Tom Brady, in fact, coming back? And then the kind of dominoes fall into play. So we'll kind of understand and see as this continues to progress. But you see Jimmy getting traded when it's all said and done.
Yes.
He's out of here. Yeah, and I would have to agree with that. I just think that's how they've set it up. And if he does return, it's probably because they just don't find a trade partner. Do you see that being an actual scenario where when it's all said and done, it's just like their asking price doesn't match what teams will pay, and they just kind of decide to go another year again?
And that'll stay fluid as well too, because let's say we get into training camp, and let's say God help us all if this still is going on during training camp. But let me throw a hypothetical. Let's say whatever, you're right. The market dried up. Nobody wanted anything, and you're not just going to give them away for peanuts, especially because of what we talk about with Jimmy Garoppolo. He's a starter in this league. I don't give a damn what anybody says, and that's valuable in this league. It's very valuable. But pass start to pop, quarterback tears his ACL. Pass start to pop, or a workout happens. Yep. You know, a guy isn't.
Tyrod Taylor's lung gets injected.
Right. Or like people aren't improving right away. Like, let's just say Jalen Hurts comes out and he has a awful training camp. Like, it just looks bad, like all through and through. Or, you know, guys take step back. You know, Davis Mills maybe not playing well. What does Houston do? So that will remain fluid. But please, the best thing to do in terms of silencing the discussion is to do this sooner than later. But
yeah,
there's still a path to him being there in training camp if things don't materialize. But you know how in this league, when someone gets injured at quarterback, people scramble, and you gotta make a move because it's a results-driven business. Nobody is gonna say, hey, well, your quarterback got injured. It doesn't matter. That's okay. We'll give you another year. No, if you don't win games, you're going to be fired. So, again, that's another way to look at it. But God help us all if this is still going on during training camp. Like, I am not going to want to cover this year's training camp, Brad. I promise you, man. I mean, I'll do it, but I don't have to like it.
Yeah, we'll do it. It will definitely be a headache. I mean, I'm still personally recovering from last year's headache because that was quite the ride, and it hasn't stopped, to be honest. We're still rolling. We're rocking and rolling on the roller coaster that is the San Francisco 49ers quarterback situation, and it will be something that we continue to monitor throughout. But let's kind of transition the conversation more towards Trey because, again, it is becoming polarizing now, this sentiment. Jason, is Trey Lance ready?
Oh, my God, man. I need an aspirin. I feel like I'm going to repeat myself.
Yeah, it kind of is.
It's February 23rd. Yeah. 23rd. There's no games being played this week. There's no camp. Oh, God. If I had advice for that young man, please take your phone, right? You're gonna be a very rich young man, right? You're gonna be in this league for a very long time, Trey. Take your phone and bring it over to your sink. And hopefully you have one of those garbage disposals. Put it in there and just let it destroy your phone.
He
Please,
needs the
Trey.
Jimmy Garoppolo plan where it just steps away from all social media. He's eventually probably going to start being like
Posting
that. Like,
workout
he's not even
photo.
going to
Yeah, I
tweet,
mean,
not even going to post. Like, because what's the point? People are just going to argue about him in the comments.
Trey, listen to me, man. Destroy that phone. Don't look back. Don't look back, dude. God, I think next week we're gonna do a show, right? And next week, all right, next week we'll have something else to talk about because I'll be at the combine or whatever. But
Yeah.
next week, someone's still gonna ask the question: Is Trey ready? And
Yeah.
I can't wait to get around all these GMs and scouts so I can ear hustle a little bit. I want to hear what some of these people are saying because if I hear anything different, I'm like when I see Adam Schefter, it's literally gonna be that stare, that Diddy stare thing where we're just gonna be looking at each other like, I know what you did, bro. I know what you did.
Right.
And I just heard from this scout and this GM. Nobody's saying that. Nobody is saying that. Why are you saying this? Like, don't make me lift the lid on all this. Please don't.
Yeah, man. And hopefully you find something out while you're down there because this is just getting to a point where it's getting crazy. It's just getting to a point where you have outside media and information saying he's not ready. Then you're getting leaks from inside saying he is ready. It is going to be a long offseason, I believe, here, Jason, especially surrounding the quarterback situation. But in your mind, what does Trey Lance have to do to be ready in 2022, assuming Jimmy Garoppolo gets traded and he's not here?
Block out the noise, work on your deficiencies because they're still there. Work on your timing, work on your accuracy, work on all the things that Kyle Shanahan needs you to work on because it doesn't matter what we want you to work on. What is coach telling you to do? The kid's smart. I think that's why they picked him. The kid is a hard worker. Again, all of these things that we've pointed to are still true today. None of that changes. Continue to do your thing, but just take that phone and put it in the garbage disposal, man. Don't listen. Don't listen to nothing. Don't open up your don't open up your apps. None of that stuff, man. Just get to work, man, and everything's gonna be fine, man. You're in the best spot.
Absolutely. It's kind of a situation where it's just block out the noise and keep it moving. But do you think there's also a world? Because I was thinking about it today, man. Like, could you imagine if you were 20, 21 years old, just a wee little lad, young kid, about to take on the world, and you find yourself in a situation after reaching the highest mountaintop, being drafted number 3 overall. And again, the expectations that you put on yourself, the pressure that you put on yourself, as well as what everyone else is doing, the pressure that comes along with being the number 3 overall pick. And then you show up to training camp, you show up to OTAs ready to go. And the whole roster and the whole team is just like, hey, what's up, Trey? This is our quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. Nice to meet you. It's good to see you, kid. It's good to see you, I guess, here. But we're sticking with number 10. And that's going to be our quarterback. And that same tone stuck the entire year. Do you think that can have an effect on his mental processing again, being 21, maybe just understanding the way the NFL works? Could that
I wouldn't.
affect his mental processing?
I won't say that it will because I'm sure that when he was brought in at pick 3 and when he had his first meeting with Kyle and them, Kyle and Lynch were like, "We're rolling with Jimmy this year, and we're gonna give you the year." And I don't think that like he walked into camp and was taken back by anything, right? Like I feel like they were upfront with him. I feel like they went in there and they told him the plan. This is the same plan that they've repeated ad nauseum to us, to the media.
It was.
That's why they were so annoyed the entire season is because they're just like, dude, stop asking me. I've literally been telling you over and over.
Right.
Like, I don't think these are things that Trey found out through the media or by walking in the locker room and everybody's just like, Jimmy's our guy. I'm certain that was something that was put out there immediately. Like, we're gonna roll with the guy. We're gonna ease you in. We want you to work on this. This is what we're gonna do. I would hope that Trey didn't learn all those things without hearing it from them first.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, obviously, if that wasn't the case, there'd be a much different situation. But I think for me personally, the only thing that I'm just kind of being wary of is just again how you can be thrown into a bit of a firestorm the way he has. And we understand, Kyle Shanahan, he's kind of a bit of an old school, kind of his old heart, for lack of a better term.
You gotta sit and learn. Everyone has to sit and learn a year. Nobody gets thrown into the fire. Right. That's that old man talk.
And we've talked about the doghouse, right? Or the mentality of kind of the way it feels, at least from the outside perspective, of how certain players are being managed. But I think we also understand it is a case-by-case situation. And regardless of that, everything that we do here outside of that locker room is he is upfront with everything, with expectations of what he's looking for and all of that good stuff. So Shanahan probably was very upfront with him. I want to see what that transitions into next year into training camp. Do you think that the backup quarterback that they potentially bring in, I know they got Sudfeld on the roster.
I was about to say, don't disrespect.
Do you think that depending on who they bring in, who that third quarterback is that going to kind of give you an indication if they do believe in Trey? Maybe if they bring in a higher echelon, backup Mariota or something like that, would that kind of tell you like, oh, maybe there is an opportunity that he could still sit or something like that? Do you think the backup quarterback has any indication of what they believe of Trey Lance?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, if they brought in, let's just say like a Trubisky, the person you just said, I'm sorry, it just
Mariota,
Tyrod Taylor. I would just think it's just to insulate themselves, just so they know that they have a guy who can at least operate the offense in some way, and that he can run some of these similar things, and it wouldn't be such a drastic change in what they implement for one guy into the other. So it really wouldn't speak to me. The one that would kind of worry me is like somebody who's like a fringe starter or something like that. Like, let's just say because they were tied to them, like an Andy Dalton. Like then that could be maybe a sign like that. But I don't think so at all. I think that anybody that they bring in, this regime talked openly about the reason we have Trey Lance is because Jimmy Garoppolo gets injured. And I know that there's that cliche out there that if you have two quarterbacks, then you don't have one, then you have none or something like that. But the 49ers are still in the business of winning games. And if God forbid something happens to Trey, you still need somebody who can operate this offense. And it would behoove them to put someone in behind Trey who can operate the offense similarly as he can, as opposed to someone who is a complete stark difference from him, right? Like we know one game plan for Jimmy is not the same for Trey. But if you have Trey and then a Tyrod Taylor, the game plan doesn't fluctuate too much. You're going to run the hell out of the ball and you're going to scheme open those throws for him. So I really wouldn't read too much into the second quarterback at all. I really do think that the 49ers are going to be in the business of bringing in a very reliable backup just in case something happens to Trey Lance, and nothing more than that.
That makes sense. James Vega says, is Jimmy G ready to move on from the 49ers?
He better be, because his no trade clause is about to expire. None of that matters anymore, bro. Like you're not in control of your destiny. So figure it out, man.
I like that answer. He better be.
He better be.
George says, are they honest to God keeping Jimmy Garoppolo? This organization is really not smart. I don't know why they don't want to move on. And George, just to preface, this is just a report. This is, right. Would we even call this a report? Is this just two people talking again?
It's Adam Schefter being a damn podcaster, and I'm tired of all these damn podcasters. I mean, like, what the hell do they know?
I mean, one thing to note, it's those podcasters that get the timeline moving. I'm just going to go ahead and say that real quick. But on the flip side of it, again, this has nothing to really do with the 49ers. This is just something that someone said. And yet again, here we are talking about it. So I imagine that they are moving towards an amicable separation. They are going to move on. They're going to trade Jimmy. And then they're going to figure out what to do with Trey. So I would say we both see eye to eye there, right, Jason? We think Jimmy's on his way out. Trey's going to start in 2022.
Absolutely. That's it. They talked about it. And there's other reports out there. So it's funny to me how reports work. Reports come out 2 weeks ago that the 49ers are working with Jimmy to get him into a winning situation. Then all of a sudden this report comes out and people are just like, oh my God, but you forgot about that. And why does this report take precedent over that one? It's only because it's the one that's out now. And that's smoke season's here. I can't believe that we're back here, Brad. And I feel like, you know that scene in the
feels
Dark
like it
Knight?
never ended.
Right. Like that scene in Dark Knight when Joker is telling Batman, I feel like we're destined to do this forever. I feel like we're destined to do this forever, Brad. I really do, man. Like, I don't think this is ever going to go away, man. Like, Trey could play the whole season, and I would not be shocked if the offseason opens with the 49ers are not dead set on Trey anymore, and they're looking to upgrade a quarterback. And I would just be like, oh, my God, man, here we are again. Like, look.
The 22-year-old hasn't developed the way we had thought he would have as quickly as we wanted.
There is a correlation to the fact that gray hairs are popping up in my beard all of a sudden now, right? I've gone my entire life with never having any of the, and sure, I'm getting up there in age, but you cannot tell me that this team is not stressing me the hell out, man. Just in the way that they move and the way that they do things, and just they're always a news cycle. We still haven't even done the year in review. Like we have to like
because it feels like it's still going. Like it's just
still go. I mean, it's just we're in the year 2 now. Like we just, you know what we do? Forget the year in review. Just do a 30 for 30. We need to figure out a way that we can just do an absolute complete 30 for 30 and then pitch it to ESPN and say, what if I told you one team's fan base Twitter could not contain itself and hates each other on both ends? This is the story of 49ers Twitter.
That's the bigger issue, is that just people like to argue and they like to go after each other. I think that's what it is. Yeah. Cap Speaking has an interesting comment about what we're hearing. So he's saying, does all this drama galvanize the locker room around Trey? Because I think we can, if we look back at the 2021 year, I think we can legitimately look back and say that the discourse amongst fan base and media around Jimmy Garoppolo actually galvanized the locker room around Jimmy Garoppolo. I feel confident in saying that. Do you think it would play both ways? Do you think they understand Jimmy Garoppolo's out the door and then all of a sudden they take that same energy and transfer it to Trey? How do you think that works?
I do think that. And I think that a lot of what the discourse around Jimmy Garoppolo in this locker room is about, like this us against the world type thing. And it's like, stop disrespecting my guy. And you hope that completely transfers over. So I will say yes, Cap Speaking. I will say yes to this because I'm the optimist. It's February. I don't have anything to be negative about, right? So, yes, I hope that that's the case. And I hope that all of those guys are listening to all of these things and saying, hey, man, and they're walking up to the kid, if they're working out with them and saying, hey, man, keep working, man. We got your back. That's all that matters. And they seem to take that same exact approach with Jimmy Garoppolo. The only difference is that Jimmy Garoppolo has that track record of success with them, 2019, obviously as close as they did this year. But at the same time, I hope that they take this approach, and I think they will.
Absolutely. I hope so too. I mean, I think we all want that. I think we all want to just move forward and rally around our team, the quarterback, and everyone else who's involved. But again, it's going to be a moving target, it feels like, for a good majority of this offseason. So anything else, Jason, that you wanted to touch on around Jimmy Garoppolo, around Trey Lance, around Sudfeld? Any quarterback, any quarterback conversation, any point, comment you wanted to kind of wrap up this ongoing conversation that we will continue to have?
No, I just want to I want to talk to the fans. I want to talk to the people listening to us right now. You have a bunch of information that's going to be pushed in your face, but it is up to you to sift through it, properly put everything into context, understand where it's coming from, understand the time. So it's not time for you to lose your minds. Again, I appreciate the fact that Adam Schefter said this, because otherwise, what would we be talking about today?
We're talking about combine prospects. Let's go.
Oh, let's go. That's what we're talking about. No, but the thing is keeping all of these things in perspective, understanding where it's coming from, understand that no matter insider, columnist, analyst, whatever, play-by-play guy, everybody is looking for content. Everybody's looking to drum up content. So,
Yeah.
am I saying that this person has no idea what's going on? I'm not saying that. Clearly, he's built much more equity than I could ever at this point. I could only hope to get to that level. At the same time, not everything is straight up like black and white at this point, especially when we're at a point in this dead part of the season. And the NFL is king for drumming up storylines all season. That is why it is the year-round sport. Baseball, right now, clearly we know they're in a lockout. That's not a year-round sport. Basketball, not a year-round sport. The NFL is a year-round sport, a year-round discussion point. Now, whether you are into only the regular season and the playoffs, and then you kind of fade in and out during the offseason, it's up to you. But there are plenty of people glued to everything that happens in the NFL, and that's why the NFL is king. And this is part of the reason. I had a discussion with my dad over lunch the other day, and he said, "What the hell? Why are they showing this on NFL Network? Like, why are they still talking about football?" And I'm like, "Dad, you don't understand right now, right? You don't understand, Dad." 32 teams, right? And just because we're fans of the 49ers doesn't mean that we're not digging into other teams' needs, trying to figure out these mock drafts, who's going to be going where, potential free agents, who's a fit where. Forget the Senior Bowl, and then now you're talking about the combine, and then and then we're in Vegas in a little while for the draft. The NFL is king at storylines, keeping you engaged. If you are an NFL fan, you have something to do all year. And I think that that's something that you need to keep in perspective while all of these things come out, because this on February 23rd could be something that we look back on March 23rd, April 23rd, May 23rd, and laugh at, like, because it didn't play out that way. So to get run up and strung up over all of these things, I wouldn't say that's the best practice, but you have to understand that no matter who the person is, no matter what the network they work for, what their role is, everybody right now is searching for content and finding ways to drum up conversation, which is what this whole quote did.
Absolutely. Well said, Jason. And if you haven't already, to kind of piggyback onto what Jason's talking about, you can invest in a very cost-effective tool to help you see through all the BS that's going through. There's a reason why we call it tinfoil hat season, is because you have to be able to protect your brain and your noggin from all of the information overflow coming at you. Because back to Jason's point, this is reality television time. This is the drama of the NFL offseason. We understand what drives clicks. I mean, you look over at the NBA and the types of things that they talk about to get some views, get some, the KD versus James Harden, all that kind of stuff. It's part of getting people interested and staying interested, because we understand if we can't keep people paying attention, they're just going to hop on to the next. So it is just something that you got to be very, very cognizant of, is there's going to be a lot of differentiating opinions and takes, and you just got to string them together and decipher for yourself if you want to believe them or you don't, based on the way you're tracking. But clearly, Jason and I are going to continue to track.
Post the board. You know what you need to do? You want to take that meme. You want to take that meme to another level. Take Charlie Dave's face off of it. Put your own over it now. Like Photoshop yourself and just like
with the tinfoil hat on.
Yeah,
oh my God, that would be next level. Oh my God, that would be so good. That would be so good. But I'm hoping we're not adding anyone to that list. I hope it's just a straight up knocking faces off the list. But it does feel like it's actually going to keep getting added to it. I mean, we're going to be talking about someone else pretty soon. I
thought last offseason was crazy. Seriously, I thought last offseason was crazy. And right now, I am way more stressed now at this point than I was last year, because at least no matter what, right? Like, we didn't want one player, but we thought we were going to get one of three. And you'd be okay with that, right? And it was more about trying to figure out what's going on. Now, if any of this stuff is true and things are moving in a different direction, now we have to start to talk about, oh my God, they messed up. This happened. They messed up here. This is what and I don't want to do any of that. I just rip the Band-Aid off and let the kid go, man. Please. I'm
I know.
at the same time, keep saying dumb things on the internet so we can use it for content. Also, by the way,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
Seriously.
get up off that. But oh my God, Brad, I'm tired. I am tired, Brad. Oh,
I'm
thank
tired as
God.
well.
I thank God they gave me this combine invite, dude, because I was just gonna take a plane to like Florida just so I could just go lay down,
Just
man, like
dip
on a
out to
beach,
the Caymans real quick.
lay flat on a beach, face down, and not listen to anything. Not over my phone, nothing. I don't want to see any
Oh
of it,
my
man.
God. Man, it has been an ongoing conversation. Again, this started last January when we started talking about the potential changes of the quarterback. So it is going to be a process that we continue to monitor. If you had to put a timeline on the Jimmy Garoppolo trade, does it happen before the start of the new league year, or does it happen on the other side?
After.
After.
That's gonna make my bet. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think they want to see some movement first, see how teams are getting filled out, and then they go ahead and move Jimmy Garoppolo once they get a good idea of the landscape and all of that stuff. And again, too, drop your questions in the chat for Jason and I. Save us from this quarterback conversation. Or if you want to add to the quarterback conversation, feel free to drop us a question in the chat and we will look to address it. But
And
Jason, with you,
real quick,
oh,
my bad. I
go
didn't
ahead,
mean
go
to cut
ahead.
you off. Real quick. Like this video on my channel, on Brad's channel, subscribe to both of our channels. Also, Spicy Squad, tap in, join, hit that button on the video. Again, I'm gonna start
Smash
doing
it.
call-in shows on the off season. That means I'm only gonna be going to my trusted members because too many people are untrustworthy. We can't let some Ram fan hop on and start talking crazy or whatever on any call-in or anything like that. So that's one of the perks in terms of that. So yeah, shout out to everybody who's joined so far and everything as well. Shout out to everybody who's in here. And yeah, we're going to keep the offseason content coming for you guys as best we can without being too clickbaity, even though that's pretty much what we're going to be doing the entire time, is trying to draw you over here with clickbait. So
pretty much. We want you to come watch our content. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to keep working. That's the good thing, is that we're going to keep producing and we're going to keep doing that kind of stuff to get you guys over here. Paul the Third just dropped this super chat. Says, media don't know anything. Remember how we were a lock to draft Mac Jones and 90% of the talking heads were wrong or lying. JM on the Mac bandwagon. Yeah, I mean, I remember that very well when Adam Schefter reported when the 49ers made the move and they officially made the trade. Then right after they made the trade, what was the reports that came out? Oh, it's Mac Jones at 3. They moved up to get Mac Jones at 3. I remember coming on live almost immediately after Adam Schefter said that. We put the tinfoil hat on and we said, nope, it's not going to be Mac Jones. There's no way it's going to be Mac Jones. And I know you were saying the same exact thing, that it wasn't going to be Mac Jones.
And it's funny how everyone's like, well, you all said Justin Fields, but you're not going to give us credit for telling you that it was never Mac either?
And saying it emphatically with our chest, like, no, it's
with
not
our whole
Mac.
chest. We put ourselves out there to the point that if it was Mac Jones, the slander we would have received would have been infinite. And to this day would have been infinite. But
oh yeah, every time we tried to post anything good about Mac Jones, it would have been like, oh, remember what you got? I posted so many memes.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable.
Dude, just because we wanted Justin Fields, if you're gonna roast us for that, that's fine. But also, you got to give us the credit because all those insiders and everybody was telling you that was Mac, and we stood, and that's it. And look, Slick 68, that's what we wanted. Anybody but Mac at 3. Yeah. That's it.
Anyone but Mac. That's what it was.
At 3. At 12, I'd have been cool. At 12, I'd have been cool with Mac. Yes, that's
exactly like he said it.
Boom.
Exactly like he said it, because that's what it was. You looked at the whole situation and you're like, Mac Jones isn't a bad quarterback. There's just a differentiating of quarterback archetype when you're talking about top 5 quarterbacks in today's NFL. Today's NFL, you see, again, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. You're all going to look at guys, Lamar Jackson. And when you look at like some of the other quarterbacks in their draft class, Josh Allen, Mitch Trubisky, and guys like that, Josh Rosen, who don't have the wow traits, you can see how quickly they can fall on their face. So that's all that conversation was, is Mac Jones was just a limited prospect in the sense of athletic ability. He's still a good quarterback. It's just these other guys like Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, and Justin Fields could all do it with their legs as well. And that's where the quarterback archetype is heading for franchise quarterbacks in the NFL.
And that's the thing, is we just talked about, like, you didn't move to 3 for a floor guy. You don't go for the floor guy at 3. It's
you take him at 12.
Yeah, you take him at 12 because that's a safe, easy ass bet, right?
Yeah.
But at 3, you shoot for the moon and hope you land on the stars. And that's exactly the point.
Yes.
Like, that's why. So
well said. Well said. Official BNA Music says 2025. Trey makes All-Pro team, wins Super Bowl MVP. Media and internet trolls, is Trey ready? So essentially, what BNA is saying is it doesn't matter what the situation is. We're going to be talking about this forever. Is Trey? Wait. Is Trey ready? Is he ready now, Jason? Is he ready now?
Win Super Bowl MVP, and then the next week on NFL Network. I don't know if Trey's ready, man. You know, like, it's just, dude.
Has Trey Lance officially arrived? Does he still have to do behind the scenes?
Make it stop, but keep it going. I don't know. That's the best way I could put it. Like, make it stop, but keep it going, because we still need things to talk about.
Yeah, and no, when Trey Lance actually reaches that peak of he's not ready, it's going to be, the conversation's going to swing to, is he getting traded? Oh, it's going to be nonstop. And then they understand. And I think a part of it, again, kind of what Jason was talking about a little bit earlier, just to kind of rationalize all the conversation. The 49ers fan base is one of the most passionate fan bases, not only in regards to how they support, but how they speak about the 49ers. There's a reason why Jason and I can do this for a living. It's because of you guys. It's because of your passion. It's because of how much you care about this team. It's the dead of the offseason. We got over 350 people in here watching Jason and I talk about something some guy said. Like, that is like the passion that this fan base brings. And you also have to recognize that the people who are trying to get clicks, the people who are trying to get views, just, hey, as I am as well, and probably Jason too, but they know that, and they know we're ripe, and they know that we are going to talk about it, and we are going to rip it apart and be like, is this right? Is this wrong? And then we're going to argue about it. So they know. When we continue to move through these ESPN reports and these national reports, just know they're doing it because they know you're going to click on it. So just keep that in mind when having these impassioned conversations about the quarterback position. We got a couple super chats. Let's get to them really quick. Jake, who's Joe Montana talking to in the organization?
Himself in the mirror and saying, you're not getting replaced. You didn't get replaced by Steve Young. Nobody wanted you out. I don't know, man. I don't know, Thomas. I have no idea, man. I mean, but I know that he has a little bit of PTSD with this whole discussion, right? And please do not confuse me for comparing Jimmy Garoppolo to Joe Montana, because that's just stupid. What I mean is, like,
has happened.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's starting to look at it like, oh, that's me, handsome guy, but you won 4 Super Bowls, so you deserve to at least have that discussion. Jimmy Garoppolo's won 0. But don't discount the fact that Joe Montana sees himself through the mirror right now, like, and seeing this happen, because he was really, really adamant early on, especially when he talked to Grant Cohn about, I don't understand why they gave Jimmy the bag immediately. Oh,
he's very critical things to say.
Right. So did we believe that at that time, or do we just believe what he says? So again, I'm not taking anything away from his opinion, because obviously you should value it more than myself. He's played it at the pinnacle of the position of how you can do it. But he's a guy just like us now at this point. That's the part, man. This is weird, man.
Yeah, I know. My tinfoil hat is really messing with the frequency of the
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi. So hopefully we get to the bottom of this and I can put the tinfoil hat away, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. So be prepared to deal with the spotty Wi-Fi for time to come. You've been warned. Justin says reasonable expectations for Trey Sermon next year. Ooh, we got a question to take us off the quarterback conversation. Jason, what do you think about Trey Sermon?
A big improvement. And that's why I think Anthony Lynn is here. Again, we don't know what this offensive line situation is going to be. How much of Aaron Banks sitting with Trey and Trey sitting basically has to do with how this offense is going to look going forward. Those are all things that you have to take into account. The 49ers are going to give him every opportunity now this year, because if not, I am never going to let you live down the fact that you allowed Denver to jump over for Javonte Williams. I am never going to let that go. If you thought I was hard on you about Terry McLaurin and Jalen Hurd, I am coming for you, because first of all, you shouldn't be drafting running backs that high anyway. But if you are, you make sure you draft the guy who was comped to Nick Chubb, the guy who's about to take over this Denver backfield and dominate this year. So, yes, he will have every opportunity, but he needs to work out. Otherwise, my slander is going to change from kickers to you drafted a running back, but you let Javonte go. You let them take Javonte ahead of you. He was there on the board. All you had to do was stand pat, and you could have had Javonte Williams. My goodness.
I don't know if these teams are ready for podcasters when they get upset that you pass on their draft rushes. I don't think they're ready for it. And
this is the best quote ever.
It's hilarious. Read it off.
Montana equals Future toxic meme staring in the bathroom mirror. For anybody who doesn't understand, that's basically Future's looking in the mirror and he's saying, "You not toxic, they toxic." And
go.
That's an amazing meme. And
Toxic King
speaks to me a little bit. I mean, look, speaks to me a little bit, right? Like,
just a little
bit, right? Like, just a little.
You and Future have a lot in common. I think more though than.
He's just a much better rapper, much better dresser, much better. He's got way more money. He's been with more beautiful women. I mean, yeah, but otherwise, me and Future are the same guy.
Exactly, same guy, same person. That's exactly. Thank you. That's where I was headed. You hit it right on the head. Thank you for that. He says William says O-line ever any position. O-line over any position this offseason. DB, D-line, and wide receiver are all good enough. CK trade for a quality right guard or backup for right tackle and re-sign Laken Tomlinson. Now, when we kind of shift towards the offseason roster construction conversations, one of the things that we talk about is the offensive line and how there's a lot of question marks around them. Would you say that offensive line is the most important out of any other position right now? I think if you polled the fan base, they'd say cornerback is the most important position to address.
That's the thing. It's who are you asking? The fan base is going to say cornerback, but this organization has the trenches are where it's at. That's why they continue to find ways to replenish that, and they find ways around that. So I would say offensive line at this point. Right now, realistically, you could be looking at, and this is one scenario. It's not a good scenario, but it's a scenario. Trent Williams is the only starter from this offensive line on this team next year, starting. And you have 4 brand new people, including rookies or just free agents that you brought in. So, yes, it's offensive line. Look, there's nothing you can do as a quarterback if the offensive line isn't playing well. That's why everybody giving Jimmy crap in the NFC Championship. The offensive line played poorly in that game. They did, especially towards the end. So, yeah, I would say it's offensive line. And I would say the front office believes that it's offensive line just because of the way that they've built this team on the defensive side of the ball, on the offensive side of the ball in the trenches. So, yeah.
Absolutely. They showed up time and again that they absolutely value the trenches. I mean, they made Williams the highest paid left tackle in the NFL. But does that transfer over to Laken? Do they give Laken the bag? Or did Laken potentially out-earn what the 49ers could give? And how do you see that playing out?
Well, that's the thing is, where do the 49ers stand? Because a good left guard gets 10. A great left guard gets 15. Laken made a Pro Bowl, hasn't missed games. There's plenty of people that would classify that as great. Now
And he
it just
made
comes down,
5.5 on his last deal, so he's got to go up, right?
and now what do if you're Parag? You punch it into your computer and you have your number, whatever that is. And if he's getting us somewhere else, then this organization is shown, okay, Godspeed, have fun. That's just the way they are. So
Yeah.
it's the difference between 5 million. 10 is a good left guard. 15 is a great left guard. And where do other teams value him? So we're gonna find out pretty soon. But yes, it's gonna be scary season for a little bit with Laken. I don't have my finger on the pulse of where this is going and how this is gonna work out. I don't at all.
Yeah, I don't know either. It does feel a little bit scary though. Again, I could tell at least from the exit interview that Laken didn't feel great about it. It definitely is putting off a lot of vibes like he was talking to the media for the last time as a member of the San Francisco 49ers. And you had Trent Williams come out and like emphatically say like you gotta re-sign Trent Williams. So connecting those dots. Hell, I mean, I'm not going to look too far into it, but you even have Laken Tomlinson posting things about trust on his Instagram story. And really, Laken doesn't post anything unless it's about football and or a couple family things that he's put out over years of being with the 49ers. So it's something to monitor. So, but it does kind of feel like there is a signaling that maybe Laken Tomlinson goes to a team like Miami, follows Mike McDaniel, who has what like 68 million to play with. I'm so the cap situation is something that for me is I look at it very fluidly because I'm not a big cap person, a numbers person, but based on what I saw from PFF today, it showed the 49ers in the red by about 4 million. I
4
actually
million.
posted to my story. There's a lot of things that need to happen. And again, 49ers are they gonna pay Deebo Samuel and Nick Bosa in the same offseason? Do you see that happening? Do you see one of them getting the bag? How does that work out? Or how do you
Both of them.
envision it working out?
I envision it because the cap is set to explode and it will for the next few years. I mean, COVID be damned, the NFL pushed through it all and they did everything and they made their money back, even though they didn't lose money the year before. So everything is moving in the right direction. Things can be played with, make money this year, but you know what? The cap's going to go up this year. So that's when things change. So I fully expect them to both get paid at this point, and I wouldn't have a problem with that. You better just lock those guys in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess it is important too to remember that we do have Jalen Moore, who showed promise in his first year, and they spent that high draft pick on Aaron Banks. So to me, it felt like the Aaron Banks pick was like a signal that we're drafting the guy who's going to replace Laken, right? So we'll see if that's actually the case. It's going to be very interesting to see how this offensive line comes together. And that's also going to have a direct indication to how they play Trey Lance, right? I mean, at least that's something that we've speculated. If, Trey Lance, they're going to run more power schemes, more power running schemes. That changes the way you block up front, things like that, changes the type of offensive lineman that you have starting for you. So will be something that we continue to watch. I want to see what the chat thinks. So let's pull the chat. We haven't pulled the chat yet. Do you guys think that Laken Tomlinson will be resigned, or do you think Laken Tomlinson gets more money on the open market? And again, like Jason and I always talk about, if you get the bag and we can't match the bag, go get it. Like, go get your money. I think, fandom can get in the way of that sometimes. But I think when we, watch and analyze the way we do, we understand people want to get paid. And we are not going to fault anyone who's going to get more money on the open market than what the 49ers can offer, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing is we're very pro player because this league don't love you back. And this league will chew you up, spit you out, and not care about what happens to you. So get your money. And I want you to come back.
Bad thought, bros.
Yeah. I mean, I want you to, come back selfishly, but take care of your family. Take care of your life.
Yeah.
Go, and that would be my advice for any player. So
Yeah, take advantage of the opportunity, take advantage of the hype, and get paid. And if it's not with the 49ers, yeah, it's going to be a bummer if Laken doesn't come back because, I mean, Victory Donuts was just peaking at the right time. And it would be fantastic to get more years of Victory Donuts with Laken Tomlinson involved. But I do like this. I like, if we had to start looking at fits for Laken, you got Zach Taylor over there with the Bengals. He comes from the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree. Um, Probably would be a good fit over there with the Bengals, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Zach Taylor runs Shanahan variation, works out well. I mean, that absolutely makes sense. I never thought of that until you guys brought it up, and that's why we have the smartest fans in the league and the
Adam.
people that watch our shows. So that's why you guys are who you are, and we wouldn't be anything without you.
Absolutely. These people really know what the hell they're talking about. Um, let's see. I saw another question from, I believe, where did it go? We had a question regarding, let's see. If the 49ers trade Jimmy Garoppolo, I Jordan and I were talking about this yesterday a little bit, and he brought up the idea how we're all kind of envisioning a pick, like a draft pick. But is there a world exists where we actually don't get draft picks? We actually just get another veteran player.
Yeah, I would love that. And here's why. Everybody wanted to make fun of the Rams. Oh, you're mortgaging your future. Oh, you have no picks. But then those same people will look you in the face and tell you that the draft is a crapshoot. But what the Rams did was eliminate the crapshoot for known commodities.
Yeah.
Now, depending on that commodity, how old they are, how they've been playing, that wouldn't be such a bad thing. Because if you get yourself a high end player at a position with, let's just say, a fourth round pick, a fifth round pick in return for Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't see how that's a loss. Everyone's enamored with getting a first round pick, second
Right.
round pick, but then they'll still tell you to your face, man, the draft's a crapshoot. Like when that guy doesn't pan out, draft's a crapshoot, is what it is. Okay, so let's eliminate the crapshoot and let's get guys in here who can immediately contribute. And that's the part that I feel like is the disconnect between 49ers fans and Rams fans. Or the way that there's three different ways to make a soup. There's two different ways to skin a cat. You do things differently, right? And as long as it ends in the proper way, which is what the Rams just did, was winning a Super Bowl, I don't see how you can argue with any sort of philosophy change as long as it results in the right thing. And I think that's the part that I really wanted to talk about here is just more, don't tell me it's a crapshoot in one breath and then say you don't want to take a known commodity because, stacking picks is the way. You got to just start to be fluid in that way as well too. Be fluid in the fact that team building is a little bit different, and certain teams have different philosophies. And as long as it works and you walk away with the Lombardi, who's going to argue? You can't argue. Now, if you want to talk about, well, they're messed up 2-3 years down the line, sure, I'd love to have that discussion, but I'd love to have the Lombardi first, then have that discussion. That's the point.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great point. And it's going to be a situation that, again, it's just going to be extremely, extremely fluid. But I think 49er fans would be happy if you were able to get a plug and play type player who has equity in the league to come in and start and contribute right away for a team that is quote unquote per Adam Schefter ready to win now. So we understand there is a process. Look at all the rookies that even the 49ers drafted. They got the most production out of their last pick, the sixth rounder. And that's because he was a running back, and running backs typically, it's not typically, but you get the right one and you get them in the right system and they can translate pretty well. So again, grabbing a rookie, getting that first round pick, potentially getting a high second, doesn't mean you're necessarily getting a guy who's going to be plug and play, ready to go year one. Now, year three might be a completely different conversation, but I think we're all kind of in the same category. And I'll ask you straight up, do you think the 49ers are geared up to go deep into the playoffs again based on the core roster. Understanding there's a lot of change coming, but the core roster and kind of how you can conceptualize adding to it with Trey Lance at quarterback, do you see them potentially making a run, doing work in the NFC West and getting into the playoffs?
I'm glad you prefaced it with that because that's the point, right? As far as core goes, think about how many teams have what the 49ers have right now. Just core, okay? Best left tackle in the world, best tight end in the world, best offensive weapon in the world, best fullback in the world. How many teams have that in their bag just as part of their core? None. None of you do, right? Now, I'm glad that you talked about filling out the roster because that's going to be key. Let's see what this roster looks like and then come back and ask this question. It's hard for me to answer that question right now, not knowing what the state of this offensive line is going to look like, who's going to be playing in safety, who's going to be cornerback and things like that. But when you look at core, legit core, name me another team that has the best at their position at 4 different spots. It's impossible basically at this point. Even the most loaded rosters, right? Like, look, Kansas City. Kansas City might have a claim at best quarterback, best tight end. Cool. That's all you got. Tyreek Hill's not the best wide receiver in the league or the best offensive weapon in the league. No. Like, Trent Williams is undoubtedly the best left tackle. George Kittle, we can argue tight end. And I'm going to argue, yes, obviously I'm going to take that. Best fullback in the league, Kyle Juszczyk. Best offensive weapon in the league, Deebo Samuel. You watched it all happen. These are all things that, while they can be argued, lean themselves more to fact than they do subjectiveness. And that's the thing is, if you look at a core like that, who has that? Now fill that roster out, and then Trey Lance is put in a spot where all he has to do is just run the offense, lift a little at certain points, not too much put on them because no quarterback should have everything on them, and then you're talking about a deep run. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I got you. I hear you loud and clear. Clearly, there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen, but the core being what it is, they can do a lot of work. Again, you got people saying too, not only that, you got the best linebacker in the NFL too.
That's what I'm saying.
There is a lot of talent. We haven't even mentioned Jimmy Ward. We haven't even mentioned Emmanuel Mosley, Ambry Thomas, Nick Bosa. Like, there's a lot of talent on this team. So if they do it the right way and they're able to build out the roster, who knows what can happen? Because I mean, at one point, the 3-5 San Francisco 49ers didn't look like they were going to do anything. So it is what it is. Get right at the hot time, or get hot at the right time, and see what happens. Both work. It's fine. It's been a long off season, Jason, and it feels like it just really got started. So I apologize if the words get mixed up a little bit. It's been quite the ride, has it not?
It's been this month's been quite the year.
Oh my god. That's literally what it feels like for the last year and a half almost at this point. But I can't wait to hear what you hear and see at the NFL Combine next week. It's going to be lit. Lock you in for Wednesday's show, State of the Franchise.
You know it.
Let's go. Straight from the heart of the Combine. Jason Aponte will be there. And again, make sure you follow this man so you can ingest all the content that's not just about the quarterback. Thank goodness. Jason, tell them where they can follow you.
Yeah, right. Oop, got it. One shot right here. Jason Aponte 2103 on Twitter, Jason Aponte on YouTube. Again, thank you guys. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channels, both of our channels, like on both, subscribe to both, hit that notification bell. Make sure you join that Spicy Squad so we can have some more fun in the chats and everything as well too. So yeah, next week I'll be out there Tuesday for the first day, and the content's not stopping. So just make sure you're tapped into the channel tonight because the award show is going to be a lot of fun tonight, man. And I can't wait, man. Like, you know, a lot of us, we do analysis, but the award show, like, and things like that, it's just, we sometimes forget that we should be having fun, and we're going to have a lot of fun with this.
And you're showing up in a suit, right? Suit. Is what you said?
I mean, it's an award show, right? Like, suit. I'm going to make sure I got my bottle of champagne, everything, like, you know, and we're going to give out some awards. We're going to talk. Let's go. So awards like Offensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Game of the Year, Moment of the Year, Coach of the Year, all of those things. And we're going to run that all down. Me and Andrew Pasquini on the channel later tonight, 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern.
Absolutely. Make sure you tap in. I'm going to be looking for the Beat Reporter of the Year award. I can't wait for that to come out.
We're just going to give it out.
We're just going to give it out. Make sure you tap in with Jason on the Sprint Ride Option podcast tonight. Tap in for those awards. And again, follow and subscribe to both of us on both our channels. We appreciate you guys as always. And we will see you back next Wednesday. And hopefully not talking about quarterback.